Guys, welcome back to this broadcast style animation tutorial. So today we are going to focus on rendering out this particular scene and exporting it as an After Effects project file so as to have a full control over the scene to add our post-processing effects in the rendered file.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow this channel.
So basically this scene that I'm having over here, I've created multi-matte mask on it to render it out, but I'll just do a quick save as so that I'll take you guys through how I've set up my render settings. So I'll do a quick save as. Yes, I'll take off all the multi-matte mask. These are all the numbers that I use to mask out my shapes. I'll just delete them real quick. Just delete this one. Yes, and I'll go back to my V-Ray and go to my render elements and take them off from here. So basically, to create a mask on your object, you have to do your multi-matte mask. So right here, and you drop your multi-matte mask inside. So with the channels, we have separate channels. So this one will give you your RGB colors, which is the red ID, the green ID, and the blue ID. So any ID that you set to it, when you render, you get those different colors for you to match your object to. I basically go with white, so I'll choose the white one, and I'll name my first multi-mask to be the box beneath, which is the layer here, which is this one. With the box selected, I'll go to the box and go to my tags, go to V-Ray and add the object properties. So I'll change the object ID to 1 and rename this one under box. Give it any name that you think you can remember when you are post-processing your renders images. So this one will be under box, and I'll give the same object ID number to this as well. So that's 1 1. Let's do a quick interactive render to see how our scene is looking based on how we've created a matte. So I'll go to my V-Ray and do my quick interactive render to see how the matte is actually rendered out. So this is how the scene is progressing so far with the rendering. We've named the multi-matte mask under box. So with that, we'll change the RGB color, we cascade it out, and we look for the under box. So the box that we've selected over here, this box that we selected over here, and giving it the multi-matte mask. So this the matte that it has created for all in the box. So we quickly create a multi-matte mask to every shape that we're going to matte in a post-production. So I'll quickly pause my render and create the multi-matte for every object in my scene. So with the box, this is the clone for it exactly. So I'll go to my tag, go to V-Ray, object properties, and I'll make it 2. Clone the one I've created under box and name it moving box. So I'll change this ID to 2. With the moving box to is also 2. And with the ones on the top over here, this particular one, let me go to my default camera so as to maintain our scene. I don't want to move around the main scene to complicate things. So with this selected, I'll do my S to snap it in the object layer. So this is the slab. I'll clone the underboss matte. I'll hold control and clone it up to the slab and change the number to 3. Come to the moving box, copy this one out and change the number to the slab. I'll make it slab top because in the camera is the one at the top over here. So that's why I make it the slab top so as to remember the render file whenever I'm compositing it up. So slab top, I'll change the number to 3 as well. I can quickly do the same to any other objects in the scene. This basically how I create all the multi-matte masks for all the objects in my scene for post-production. So with what we've created so far, let's just see a quick render and see if it's actually working. And I will do the third one, which is the laptop exactly. So in post-production, we will send all this data out to our After Effects setup to mask the scene out and get our desired shapes that we needed for post-production. You can do all those stuff to any object that you think you're going to use in your post-production. So the render settings that I've basically gone through for this particular render is I went to my V-Ray and changed my maximum render time to 2 minutes. So this is 2.5 minutes, this is 2 minutes. So when your render reaches 2 minutes, it will stop rendering and denoise your scene and export it out. I don't want to keep much or put pressure on the machine to render out this particular scene. That's why I limited it to 2 minutes. But when you put it on 0, the machine will render out the specific time that it has finished processing the image. But I limit to 2 minutes so as to have a stipulated time amount to render out my scene. And the sample limit is 2500. That's okay by default. And I choose my engine to V-Ray GPU. I don't like using the CPU, so I went to my common and I activate my denoiser. Exactly. So when you go to your output, you select the frame range from whichever number that you set it up to. For me, I do 0 to 120 and I use my resolution of about 72 resolution, and I use full HD, which is the 1920 by 1080. And one thing that you have to know in this particular exporting settings is your multi-pass. So in your multi-pass, in your savings, the multi-pass image, you have to create a location for it. So I have a location that I path in the file, which is the render ABS. We have the mat and the M. So you have to click the location where you want to save your file. So this where all my mats are being rendered to, as you can see on the screen. It's an image, so I do PNG. You have other options to choose from, ranging from the BMP to WMV and a whole lot, JPEG, TIFF, and ranging from any file format that you want to choose. And you do your main RGB exports from here, which is the format. Usually I use the OpenESR so as to have a raw file, of the image, and that's fine. There's no alpha channel that you want to export out. Everywhere of the scene is blocked out, so I don't check the alpha channel. You can only check the alpha channel when you are exporting your scene and you want to have a transparent background, and you do that one from there. So this is how I basically set up my scene. With all this process, you should be ready to render out from here. So this is your render to picture view. When you hit here, you are going to render your scene. So we jump right into compositing or adding tags to the objects that should have a tracking information in After Effects. What I mean by tracking information is when we have this lab right here and this lab starts moving. No, this lab is not really moving, it's only this two. Let me just use the cube as an example. With this cube moving, we can create a tracking data to it, having all those information or data in After Effects to add any object to this particular tracking data. So what I will do is I will locate the bosses as a cloned. With the object selected, I'll select my cube, locate it on the object layer, and I will right click on it, go to my render tags, and use my Cineware. The Cineware helps us to send tracking data from Cinema 4D to After Effects. So you have to rename properly your objects in the scene. So this one I'll make it moving box as well. Moving box 01. That's fine. Let me go to my camera to see what else I can add the data to. Okay, I'll add another one to the top right here on the cube. So let me name this one top cube. So it's very, very essential to name your object in your scene. So I'll do this one, add a Cineware tag to it as well right here. So I don't need much of the tracking data that I want to send there. I think 1, 2, 3 is okay for me. Let me add it up to the main shape beneath, which is this one. Exactly. Solid out. Yes, exactly. So that's the plane. I'll do the Cineware tag on it right there. So when you have done adding your Cineware tag on every object that you want to send the tracking data to After Effects, what you need to do from here, hold on, we are going to transition into the A. I added up a shape between the A, that's having the A shape as well. So this is what I've done. I've created a shape that looks like A right in the middle. Yes. So any letter that you've created, you need to create a shape that mimics the look of that, and you add the multi-mask to it as well. So you click on it, you go to tag, you add to your object properties, and you name it for, and you make sure you add a tag to it as well. I'll make it transition. This will help us to transition through this particular scene to another scene. So with the matte created, I will do my Cineware as well on it. So right click and do my Cineware on it as well. So with this, I have a shape right here that I'm going to transition from here to the next scene. Yes, the scene is basically set up. From here, we are going to our render settings to export this particular project to After Effects. With all set up and you are done with your rendering, you need to go to your save, go to compositing project file, check up all these checkboxes, and do save project file. So with this, I'll just create a folder real quick and I'll make it composite and I'll make it ABS03 because that's the recent project. That's the name of the recent project I'm having on here. So I'll do save and give it time to save. When it's done saving, then we jump right into After Effects. Here we are in After Effects, and we can do a new composition. Give it a name like broadcast. I'll make it B animation. That's broadcast animation, and I'll leave my default settings. By the way, I might change it later on. Just do OK. Yes. So this is where I've saved my project. This is the composite. I open it up right here. So we have our render sequence on the ESR right beneath, and we have a composition right here. All the camera that we set up in Cinema 4D, the morph camera is on top, and the three cameras that we set up to morph the camera animation in the first episode of the tutorial is also right here in the scene. So with the track informations that we've given Cinema 4D on the cube right here, it's also moving directly with the scene. So we can use this to composite our scene as well. And some of you might get some challenges in importing this particular scene, and they will tell you you don't have a Cineware installed in your After Effects. So with that, you have to go to your File Explorer, you go to your local DC, and you locate your Cinema 4D file, which is the Amazon Cinema 4D based on the version you're using. You open it up and you go to Exchange Plugins and you do After Effects and you see Importer. You enter the win, you open it up and you see Cinema 4D Importer. So you just grab by copying it up, you come back to your local DC, enter the program files, enter your Adobe, the version of the After Effects you want to work with the project, you enter it up, you go to the support files and you locate plugins. So you go to your plugins and you just drop your C4D importer right into the folder root. So you just paste it right here. I'm having it already, so there's no need to override it. So this is what you do to fix that issue that will pop up when you get that info or that error that you need a Cineware installed in your After Effects. So that's the process right here to solve that quick problem. So back to the scene. So we have our scene looking very beautiful. Boom, into the next scene. This is what we've rendered so far. And you can color correct your scene before you start any other thing. That's what I do first. So I'll quickly create an adjustment layer. Right click and go to adjustment, and I'll name this one make color and come to my effect and presets and type lumetric color, and I'll just double click it right here. So I'll make my tint 5. My shadows, I will just drop it down just a bit, about 5, just -5 on the shadows. And I'll go to my curves. I'll just do a simple S curve, nothing much, just for demonstration purposes. And I think this just a basic look to keep us going. Boom, into the next thing. So this is what we have so far. So since it's a broadcast style animation, I will try to drop in a world map right on the cube. So I'll quickly grab a flat world map from the web browser. Quickly, I'll go to my web browser and I'll just type world map flat png. Yep. So I think I'll go with this one. I'll go right into it and try to grab it online. I think this looking better. I'll grab this one and I'll just download the PNG right from here. So we have our world map downloaded. So I'll just drop it into the After Effects scene right here. So I'll quickly add a fill effect to it to make it white, and I change the color to white. So this is what we have so far, and here is where the real magic happens by using your multi-matte that you've created into After Effects. So I'll quickly save the project, double click and open up that matte. So this is where I've saved my matte and the RGB OpenESR files. So I'll go to my matte and I'll locate the matte for the floor. So it's actually the first one right here on top. So I'll just double click on the floor right here. So I have the matte in the project. I'll just drop it right on top here. So we have the matte in our scene like this. So with the matte selected, I'll solo it out and I'll select my RGB, yes, and I will drop in an effect called Luma key. So I'll type Luma key and I'll drop it right on the floor mat. So I will increase the threshold a bit. Usually I've rendered out white and black, so I'll just leave it on out black, meaning I want to take the black out of the file. So I'll do the threshold, I'll start increasing it just a bit. So you see the moment you start increasing it, it has cut out the black out of the image, and we are left with some dirt at the edges of the white shape. So to get rid of that, you can increase the edge thin about 1. So when you do that, you have a clean edge of the floor mat that we've created like this exactly. With this created, I will drop it right under the world map. So I'll just uncheck the visibility of the floor and I'll make this one 3D by activating the 3D layer. So for us to parent directly the world map to the scene, I need to find the tracker of the floor. So I'll scroll through my nodes on the floor here and I'll find the floor right here. Yes, good. Yes, so this is the floor, which is the plane. What I'll do is I'll click on the world map, holding shift, and I'll drag the parent to the plane, which is the floor, and I'll change the rotation on the x-axis to 90, change the z to about 90. The map has inverted, so I'll quickly change orientation like this. So make this one 360. I'll make the orientation one over here 180. I'll scale up the world map, and right we have it over here. So for us to have the world map on the floor without interacting with other scenes, so we have our world map moving exactly with the scene. Basically, this is how we go around with morphing other shapes in post-production by adding other elements to your scene. So basically what we can do right here, it's using the magic most powerful thing, which is the matte that we've exported from Cinema 4D. So I will quickly select the world map and match it to the floor mask we've created. So just drag into it. Quickly, you can see that other shapes are moving right on top of the world map, making it feel like it was created in a 3D. Exactly. So this is the effect that we want to achieve. This is the effect that we want to achieve right in this particular tutorial. So we have the world map masking directly on the floor and it's not interacting with other shapes in the scene. So to make it more interactive, I'll do a blend mode of soft light, change it to overlay. I think overlay is giving that folder I wanted. Yes. So I think overlay is better, way better. So I'll quickly change it to overlay and it's interacting with the colors on the floor as well. And you can do bunch stuffs of animation, animating the world map as well, making it flicker. Over here you can even break it up, go in a frame, crop it up, go in another frame, I mean 2 frames, you break it up, go into another frame, 2 frames, and you break it up, and you replay it and see how it's. So you can play around it the way you want. You can even match another shape to it so that it gives different feel to the animation. You're not limited to how your animation should look, and you just break it up like that. So creating this kind of effects basically makes your scene to look much more rich. So I'll just close it up a bit. I'll not create the intervals to be two, just one is okay. Yes, exactly. So you see what we have right here, boom, into it. So with this kind of effects, you can create a lot of effects in your scene. With the boss, you can even create, I think I have the boss now over here. So with this, you can right click and create a shape like this. Like, let me just do a red outline, and I'll take off the fill, increase the stroke a bit, and I will quickly send it right on top of the camera, not to interfere with the scene from C4D. So I'll name this one on top, and I'll quickly make it 3D and parent it to the holding shift, and you parent it to the now. You quickly parent it to the now. Yes, so it moves directly to where the null is, and I'll just center it right a bit, and I'll drop it on the box and tilt the rotation 90 degrees, tilt the rotation 90, and try to make where the boss is. Yes, so this is what we have. That one too is also creating some fill to the scene. You can add a lot more to your scene. With this, you can even add a trim path effect animation on the shape we've just created. So in the beginning 0, close to getting around here, the shape will get to 100, and I'll just right click and do easy ease and easy ease out. Exactly. So this is what we have, goes right in. You can basically play with your scene the way you want, and it's all left with your creativity. So this is the pro way of you compositing your scene right here from Cinema 4D to After Effects. You can drop a lot of things, blend the shapes, add a lot of things to your scene. It's not limited to your creativity, guys. I'll pause this tutorial right here. In the next one, I'll show you guys how to transition from this particular movement to the different scene that we're going to create in the next batch of the tutorial. Guys, keep creating. Don't forget, you like, you subscribe, and make sure you drop a comment down here so that Charlie, I know you guys are following. And guys, thank you so much, and see you next time.